In the quiet of your heart, when all the noise fades, there comes a question that echoes from lifetimes past. Why am I here? Not just here in this moment, or in this body, or in this life, but here, on earth, in time, in form, in trial. It is a question not born of logic, but of soul memory, a call from something older than this incarnation, older than language, older even than the stars that have watched us return, again and again, across the great river of eternity. Edgar Cayce, the sleeping prophet, spent his life unraveling the mysteries of soul and spirit, bridging the infinite and the finite, the seen and the unseen. Through his thousands of trance readings, a tapestry was revealed, a tapestry woven not of chance, but of sacred design. Reincarnation, according to Cayce, is not a random recycling of life, nor a punishment, but a journey of the soul back to itself. A spiral upward, where each lifetime is a classroom, each challenge a teacher, and each relationship a mirror of what we most need to learn, heal, and become. The soul, Cayce taught, is eternal. It did not begin with the body, and it does not end with it. Before this life you were. After this life you will be. The true self, the essence behind the eyes, is a traveler moving through time, collecting wisdom, shedding illusions, and remembering piece by piece its divine origin. Earth is not the beginning. It is the proving ground, the workshop of God, where the soul refines itself through experience, through suffering, through joy, through choice. Reincarnation, in Cayce's vision, is not some esoteric theory. It is the soul's strategy for growth. You are not here by accident. You are not in your family by coincidence. You did not meet your friends, your enemies, your lovers by chance. All are threads in the karmic web you yourself helped weave. Karma, as Cayce described it, is not punishment. It is memory. It is consequence. It is the echo of the soul's choices returning, not to haunt, but to heal. Perhaps in a previous life, you abused power, and now you find yourself in a position of service. Perhaps once you turned away love, and now you crave it like air. Perhaps you judged too harshly, and now you seek understanding with every breath. The soul sets the stage for its own lessons. It chooses the challenges before birth, not with guilt, but with courage. Because the soul knows what the personality forgets, that every hardship is a doorway, every loss is a lantern, every ending is a beginning in disguise. This is not a philosophy of blame. It is a philosophy of responsibility. You are not the victim of your life. You are its co-creator, not from the mind, but from the level of the soul. The soul chooses the time of birth, the conditions of the body, the patterns of the family, even the likely challenges. And it does so not to suffer, but to grow, to transform, to remember, and above all, to love. Because love in the end is the highest lesson. In all of Cayce's readings, whether about health, dreams, astrology, or karma, the thread is always love, not sentimental love, not romantic fantasy, but divine unconditional love, the kind that transcends ego and identity and time. The kind that understands that all beings are one, that every soul is your brother, your sister, yourself in another form. The kind of love that can forgive anything, because it sees beyond the action to the pain behind it, the wound, the lesson not yet learned. Through multiple lifetimes, the soul rehearses this love. It begins in tribal loyalty. It grows through family, through romance, through betrayal and reconciliation, and eventually it becomes universal. This is the evolution of consciousness Cayce pointed to, the long, slow remembering that we are, in truth, sparks of the divine, not separated from God, but emanations of Him. And just as a wave returns to the ocean, the soul will return to source, but only after it has remembered what it truly is. This is why you have come back, not to escape life, but to embrace it, not to be perfect, but to be honest, to fall and get up again, to meet the shadows you once denied and walk with them into the light, to forgive the unforgivable, to let go of identities that no longer serve you, to remember that you are not the roles you play, Not the child, the parent, the worker, the warrior, but the consciousness behind them, the observer, the eternal witness. Your soul has been male and female, rich and poor, ruler and servant, saint and sinner. It has lived in temples and battlefields, in palaces and prisons. It has spoken every language, worn every skin, prayed to every god. And through it all, it has gathered wisdom, like drops of dew returning to the sea. No experience is wasted. Nothing is meaningless. Even your mistakes are part of the plan, especially your mistakes. For it is often through failure that the soul grows most. Cayce emphasized meditation not just as a practice, but as a portal, a way to realign with the soul's deepest intention. In the stillness, the mind quiets, the ego softens, and the soul speaks. Sometimes in images, sometimes in feelings, sometimes in nothing but peace, but always in truth. And it is in this silence that you can begin to remember, not just who you are now, but who you have been and who you are becoming. In the great library of the soul, your lives are stories written in light, each one with a theme, a lesson, a purpose. Some are lives of struggle, some of triumph, some of deep humility, but all are sacred, all are connected, and all lead ultimately to the same place, awakening. You are not lost, you are learning. You are not broken, you are breaking open. The pain you carry is not punishment. It is a map, a signal, a call from the soul saying, this is the place to grow. This is the place to forgive. This is the place to remember who you are. And so you came back, willingly, with courage, with hope, to try again, to love again, to live more truly. This is the purpose of reincarnation, not to trap you, but to free you, not to bind, but to awaken. The soul returns, not in circles, but in spirals. Each life an ascent, even when it feels like descent. Each incarnation a step toward home. There are no accidental lifetimes, no random moments, no meaningless encounters. According to Edgar Cayce, every life is part of a divine curriculum. We return not only to heal the wounds of the past, but to fulfill the promises we once made, to others, to ourselves, and to the source from which we came. The people you love most deeply in this life, you've known them before. So too the ones who trigger your deepest pain. Some souls come back together again and again, playing different roles, swapping places, to help one another awaken. What was once a parent may now be a child. What was once a rival may now be a spouse. What was once unfinished is now the opportunity for completion. These soul contracts are not chains. They are gifts. Even the hardest relationships carry sacred meaning, especially those. We meet again and again, across centuries and lifetimes, not because we are trapped, but because we are learning what only love can teach. Patience, humility, courage, forgiveness. And sometimes the greatest act of love is simply to let another soul go, with compassion, when the lesson is complete. Free will is always in play. The soul may choose its birth, its blueprint, its potentialities, but in every life, it must still act. The choices we make determine how much of that soul plan is fulfilled. Karma is not destiny written in stone. It is possibility written in sand. We shape it with every thought, every word, every deed. And when we choose love over fear, peace over power, truth over comfort, we break old cycles. We write new stories. In Cayce's vision, even the body is a message. Illness is not simply a malfunction. It can be the echo of a past life trauma or the result of a soul choosing a limitation to cultivate strength or insight. A person born blind may have chosen it to deepen inner vision. One born into poverty may be balancing the scales of past success. These are not punishments. They are soul strategies. Every challenge contains the seed of a higher strength, a latent gift waiting to be born through the fire of experience. Astrology, too, in Cayce's teachings, is not fate, but guidance. The planets are not puppet masters, but signposts. The soul chooses to enter the physical at a specific time for a reason, because the arrangement of energies in that moment mirrors the soul's needs and intentions. Your birth chart is not a map of what will happen. It is a mirror of what can happen if you rise to meet your own divine potential. It is a cosmic fingerprint, unique to your journey, reflecting not only your gifts, but also the areas where your soul seeks growth. Reincarnation is not a path of endless rebirths. The goal is not to return forever. The goal is liberation, awakening, oneness. The soul returns until it has learned to live fully in alignment with divine law, until love becomes its natural language, until service becomes its joy, until compassion flows without effort. Then, the need to return fades. The wheel of rebirth slows. The soul may choose to remain in the higher realms or return, not out of need, but out of love, to guide others, to serve as a light in the darkness. You have lived before. You have walked other lands, worn other faces, spoken other tongues. You have known greatness and failure, joy and loss. But more important than where you've been is what you've learned, because every lifetime is a thread in the soul's evolution, and every lesson mastered becomes part of your eternal self. There is no judgment in this process, only reflection. After death, according to Cayce, the soul undergoes a review, not from some external judge, but from within. In the light of divine truth, you see clearly the effects of your actions. You feel how you made others feel. You understand where you live from fear and where you live from love. This is not to condemn, but to comprehend, to prepare for the next chapter with deeper awareness. Between lives, the soul rests, learns, reflects. Sometimes it guides others still in the physical. Sometimes it prepares for return. It is not idle. It is not lost. It is alive in dimensions beyond our sight, growing still. And when the time is right, when the karmic conditions align, it chooses again. The parents, the place, the moment of re-entry. And so, the journey continues. Not as punishment, but as promise. Dreams can carry echoes of these past lives, a sudden fear, a vivid image, a deep knowing you cannot explain. These may be soul memories surfacing. Cayce encouraged dream work as a tool for self-discovery, a way to access the deeper layers of the soul's memory. Meditation, too, opens the inner eye. In silence, we hear the echoes of who we've been and who we are becoming. And in all things, the central question remains: what is the soul trying to learn here? That is the golden key. When faced with challenge, ask not, why is this happening to me? But what is this here to teach me? The question shifts everything. It moves you from victim to participant, from confusion to clarity. Because in the end, life is not about comfort, it's about growth. The soul seeks experience, not ease. And often it is through the hardest moments that the greatest light breaks through. There is great hope in this vision, because no matter how lost you feel, your soul is not lost. No matter how broken you seem, your soul remains whole. You are not your mistakes. You are not your failures. You are the one who learns from them, the one who rises, the one who returns again and again, not to suffer, but to awaken. This is the promise of reincarnation, that you are never truly starting over. Every step you take in this life builds on the steps of the past, the wisdom, the courage, the love you've earned. It is with you, still, deep in the soul. And though you may not remember the lives you've lived, their fingerprints are everywhere. In your instincts, your fears, your gifts, your longings. Your soul remembers, and it guides you, whispering through intuition, nudging you toward the people and places where your next great lesson waits. And so we come to this life, not as strangers, but as students, not as victims of fate, but as travelers walking the spiral of eternity. And somewhere deep inside, you already know, this life matters. This moment matters. This breath, this heartbreak, this hope, they are not random. They are the tools of your transformation. You are not just a body with a soul. You are a soul with a temporary body. And the soul's agenda is always growth, always love, always awakening. Every tear you shed, every joy you savor, every truth you claim, it all weaves into the fabric of your eternal being. You came here to remember, to reawaken what you have always been, a spark of the divine, infinite in nature, radiant in purpose, and destined to return, not in defeat, but in glory. You are not here by chance. You are here because your soul chose to be. Out of billions of possible moments in time, it chose now. Out of all possible places on earth, it chose here. Why? Because this life, with its particular trials and triumphs, contains exactly what your soul needs to grow. Edgar Cayce taught that the soul is drawn magnetically to the experiences that will best awaken it, pulled not by punishment, but by purpose. Even what seems chaotic has an inner order. Even what feels like loss may be a hidden gift. So many of us look outward for answers. We want someone to tell us who we are, why we're here, what we're meant to do. But the truth, Cayce reminds us, is always inward. You are your own greatest mystery and your own greatest key. Within you lies the full record of every life you've ever lived. It's written not in words, but in energy, in memory, in resonance. The aches that won't heal, the talents that come too easily, the people you meet and feel you've known forever. These are the breadcrumbs of eternity. And when you learn to follow them inward, you begin to see that this life is not an island. It is a bridge, built on the foundations of everything that came before. Meditation, as Cayce taught, is more than a spiritual practice. It is soul alignment. It is the still point where the physical meets the eternal. In silence, the soul speaks. Not with words, but with presence. The more you learn to be with yourself in stillness, the more clearly you hear that ancient inner voice. It is not loud, it does not shout, but it is constant, gentle, wise, and it will guide you if you let it, not just toward success, but toward meaning, toward soul integration, toward the version of you that your soul came here to become. You don't have to remember your past lives to benefit from them. That's not the point. The goal isn't to relive the past, it's to transcend it. You may not remember the exact details, but the imprint is there. A past life fear may show up as an irrational phobia. A forgotten trauma might echo as a chronic tension. A deep longing for justice or freedom or healing may not come from this life at all, but it's real, and it matters. Because until it is understood, until it is integrated, it will shape your choices without your awareness. But here's the miracle. The moment you begin to see, to name the pattern, to witness the wound, it begins to lose its hold. Light dissolves the shadow. And when you bring love to those unseen places in yourself, you heal not only this life, but many that came before. You redeem the stories that were left unfinished. You free the parts of you that have been stuck for centuries. And you step more fully into your soul's purpose in the here and now. Your soul doesn't care how much money you make. It doesn't care about titles or fame. It cares about love, about truth, about service. It wants to experience the fullness of being alive, not just the highs, but also the lows. Because it is through contrast that we come to understand. Without betrayal, we cannot fully know loyalty. Without grief, we cannot fully taste joy. Without fear, courage has no meaning. These opposites are not mistakes. They are the texture of growth. And yet, despite everything, the soul remains whole. No matter what you have endured, abandonment, heartbreak, shame, loss, your soul has not been diminished. In fact, it may be because of those experiences that your soul now shines with greater light. As Cayce said, the purpose of the soul is to become a channel for the divine. And sometimes it is through our most broken places that light enters us most powerfully. Where the personality sees failure, the soul sees evolution. Reincarnation, then, is not just a concept to believe in, it is a call to live more consciously. If you've been here before, then you've carried pain before, and also strength. If the people in your life have traveled with you before, then every relationship has deeper meaning. If your challenges have been chosen, then they are not random. They are opportunities, and that changes everything. You are not a victim of life. You are a co-creator of it. And if you've been asleep, living from habit, reacting from fear, forgetting the soul behind your eyes, that's okay. Awakening is never late. The moment you choose to live consciously, to seek the deeper lesson, to ask what your soul is really calling for, that is the moment your path begins to shift. The universe responds, the veil begins to thin, and what once seemed meaningless begins to shimmer with significance. In Cayce's view, even the smallest act of kindness ripples beyond this life. A prayer whispered in silence, a gesture of compassion, a moment of forgiveness. These are not wasted. They echo across timelines. They plant seeds in the soul's garden that may not bloom until another life. But they will bloom. Nothing is lost. Nothing is ever wasted. You are part of a great spiral, ascending, unfolding, remembering. Each life is a rung on the ladder of your soul's return to the source. The journey is long, yes, but it is beautiful. It is yours, and you are not walking it alone. Guides walk with you, souls who have walked this path before and now serve as guardians and whispers in your intuition. Loved ones, too, who have passed on, many of them will meet you again, here or beyond, because the soul never forgets, love never ends, and no connection forged in truth is ever lost. So what does your soul seek now in this life? What lesson brought you here? Is it courage, compassion, faith, surrender, purpose? Begin to ask the question. Begin to listen for the answer, and then begin to live in alignment with what you hear. Because when you do, when your outer life reflects your inner knowing, you step into a kind of power that no system can give and no force can take away. You remember that you are more than this name, more than this job, more than this moment. You are an eternal traveler, a bearer of light, a mirror of the divine. And you did not come here to be small. You came here to become. So rise, love, remember, because even death is not the end. It is simply another doorway. And on the other side, more life, more love, more becoming. And through it all, the soul continues, always returning, always evolving, always homeward bound.